We've all been there, right? You need to understand something better, maybe customer opinions or how your team feels, or, even just if that new haircut actually works.
Yeah.
And surveys seem like the obvious answer, the go-to. But how often do you actually send one out feeling like totally confident you'll get back those really insightful, honest answers, the kind that help you figure things out?
Hmm. Not often enough, probably.
Yeah,
It can feel a bit like yelling into the void sometimes.
exactly, like a shot in the dark. Well, today we're going to try and crack the code on that.
Yeah.
How to make your surveys less of a guess and more of a, well, laser beam, getting you the real valuable stuff.
That's the plan. We're diving into some recent thinking on this, looking closely in an article from Kalyani Raj over at Cognitive Market Research. It came out just last November,
Okay.
and it's called Tips for Conducting Surveys That Get Real Answers. How can they get detailed answers?
Yeah.
Basically, our mission here is simple.
Yeah.
We want to give you the key ideas, the principles for designing surveys that actually deliver meaningful data.
Yeah.
The kind you can really use.
Right. Actionable stuff.
Exactly. And help you avoid those common slip-ups that just lead to, well, wishy-washy results, or maybe even information that points you in the wrong direction.
Okay. Think of it as a shortcut then to making surveys actually work.
Precisely. A shortcut to making every survey count.
I like the sound of that. So, okay, we want these super effective surveys. Where do we even start? The article kicks off talking about clear objectives. Why is that like step one?
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? How everything kind of hinges on that foundation.
Hmm.
If you don't have clear objectives, the whole thing can go off the rails before you've even written question one. Think about it like setting off on a road trip without knowing your destination. You might drive around, see some things, but you probably won't end up where you need it to go.
Okay, makes sense.
The article really hammers this home. Clear objectives mean the data you collect is actually actionable, it's relevant, it speaks directly to the things you need to figure out to make decisions.
So fuzzy goals lead to fuzzy answers.
You got it. It's about knowing your target before you start asking questions.
Okay, and the article also mentions this isn't just for us, the ones making the survey. It actually helps the people taking it, too. How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great point about the respondent side of things. When you're clear about what you're trying to learn, you give people context.
Ah, okay.
They get why you're asking these specific questions. And like the article says, when they have that why, they're much more likely to give you, thoughtful, honest answers, real answers.
Instead of just feeling like they're answering random questions into the ether.
Exactly. It gives their participation meaning.
And then for us, trying to analyze all this information later,
Mhm.
clear objectives must make that part way easier too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think of it from the data analysis angle. Those objectives, they're your roadmap. They let you categorize things properly, evaluate the responses effectively. You know what you're looking for. So sorting through it all becomes much, much simpler. And, like the article points out, that focused data is way more valuable long-term for tracking trends and making smart choices down the line.
Okay. Okay. Clear goals are non-negotiable. Got it. Now let's get into the survey itself. Length. Everyone notices survey length. Short versus long. What's the deal? What actually gets people to respond?
Well, the common wisdom, and the article backs this up, is pretty clear. Shorter surveys almost always get higher completion rates.
No surprise there, I guess.
Think about your own experience. You see a survey link, one says 2 minutes, the other says 20 minutes. Which one are you clicking?
Yeah, the 2-minute one, definitely. I've absolutely bailed on surveys that look like they'd take forever.
Right. It just boils down to respecting people's time and, frankly, their attention span.
The article even cited some stats from Fluid surveys, didn't it? What did those show?
Yeah, and those numbers really tell a story. It mentioned email surveys averaging around, 25% response rates? And phone surveys are even lower, like 8–12%.
Wow, that's not great.
It really isn't. It just shows how valuable people's time is. If your survey looks like a big commitment, forget it. The article suggests most people see surveys under 5 minutes as, manageable, acceptable.
5 minutes, okay.
Basically, every extra minute you tack on is another chance for someone to drop off.
So 5 minutes is a decent target, but what if you need more detail? Can you really get deep insights that quickly?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the article is pretty nuanced here. Shorter is generally better for getting people through the survey, yeah.
Yeah.
But you still need enough substance to get the info you need.
Right, it's a balance.
It is.
Yeah.
The key takeaway seems to be every single question in a short survey has to earn its place. You need laser focus on those objectives we talked about.
Make every question count.
Exactly. Now, if you really need a deep dive, Maybe you break it up into shorter stages or perhaps offer an incentive. But for that initial ask, brevity is your friend.
Gotcha. Be strategic, keep it tight. Okay, now, types of questions. The article really advocates for using open-ended questions. In a world where multiple choice is so easy to tally up, why bother with questions where people have to type stuff out?
Because that's where the gold often is. Open-ended questions let you tap into, the richness of actual human thought. You uncover things you just wouldn't have predicted.
Hmm.
They let people use their own words, express nuance, give details that those prefed boxes just can't capture.
Like asking someone why they like something, not just if they like it.
Exactly. Imagine trying to understand why someone loves a piece of music just using a 1 to 5 scale. You get a number, sure, but you don't know if it's the melody, the lyrics, a memory.
Right, you missed the story.
Open-ended questions give you that story. They give you the why.
So it's about finding the surprises, the things you didn't even know to ask about directly.
Precisely. It's amazing what comes out. Underlying issues, maybe new ideas, preferences you hadn't considered, emerging trends, stuff you wouldn't find otherwise. Plus, like the article mentions, people can convey emotion much better. Motivations.
Yeah, you get a feel for things, and it probably makes the person taking it feel a bit more heard, like their specific view actually matters.
Definitely. It shows you value their perspective.
Hmm.
Now, the article does warn, reasonably, don't go overboard.
Right, because they take longer to answer
Hmm.
and longer to analyze, I bet.
They do. So the trick is balance. Sprinkle in a few well-chosen open-ended questions strategically. They give you that rich qualitative data that puts the flesh on the bones of your quantitative multiple-choice data, gives you the whole picture.
Okay, strategic sprinkling. I like that.
Hmm.
Now let's talk about honesty, getting people to tell you the truth. The article brings up anonymity. Why is keeping responses private so critical?
Well, it really taps into basic psychology, doesn't it?
Yeah.
People are just way more likely to be candid, to be truthful when they feel safe,
Mm.
when they know their identity is protected. The article really emphasizes this. When people believe their answers can't be traced back, they're more willing to share genuine feelings, especially if the topic is, sensitive or maybe controversial.
Like asking employees about their managers. You definitely want anonymity there.
Oh, absolutely. If you're worried about backlash for honest feedback, you're naturally going to, sugarcoat things or just give vague answers.
The article mentioned response bias, too. What's that about in this context?
Yeah, that's a really key concept. Response bias is basically when people give answers they think are socially desirable, or maybe answers they think you, the surveyor, want to hear.
Ah, telling you what they think you want.
Exactly. Especially if they feel they might be judged or identified. This can seriously mess up your data, lead you down the wrong path entirely. Anonymity helps shut that down.
Reduces the pressure to conform.
Precisely. It encourages people to just say it like it is without exaggeration or, trying to second guess things.
So, for anyone needing reliable data, data that actually reflects what people think or need, anonymity isn't optional, is it? It's fundamental.
Totally fundamental. As the article puts it, that trust, that assurance of privacy,
Yeah.
it's crucial if you want dependable data that truly mirrors reality. Otherwise, you risk getting data that's, polite fiction.
Okay. Clear goals. Keep it short-ish. Use open-ended questions smartly. Guarantee anonymity. What about the actual words we use? The article talks about simple, direct language. Why is that so important?
This one seems obvious, but it's easy to get wrong. It's all about making it easy to understand. Plain and simple.
Right.
The article points out that clear, straightforward language means people get the question right away. They can answer accurately without getting tangled up in jargon or weirdly phrased sentences.
Yeah, avoid the corporate buzzwords, maybe?
Definitely avoid the buzzwords. Ambiguity, confusing terms, they just lead to people guessing or misunderstanding, and then your data is junk. Imagine asking about leveraging synergistic platforms. What does that even mean to most people?
Haha, yeah, exactly. You don't want them spending energy decoding the question instead of answering it.
Right. Direct language cuts through that. It lets people focus on the substance. Plus, the article makes a good point. Simple language makes your survey accessible to way more people. Different education levels, maybe people who aren't native English speakers.
Good point. Makes it more inclusive.
It does. And when questions are easy to grasp, you're more likely to get thoughtful answers, not just quick guesses. People are less likely to get frustrated and just quit too.
So it respects their time again, in a way.
Absolutely. Simple language helps the survey flow better, reduces that mental effort, and as the article stresses, that leads to better completion rates and ultimately more valid, trustworthy data.
Okay, we've covered a lot of do's. Let's flip it. What are the big don'ts? The common mistakes people make when putting surveys together?
Well, the article flags several big ones. And number one, circling right back to where we started, is not having those clear objectives.
Still number one.
Still number one. The article reiterates, if you don't know why you're asking, your survey just becomes this rambling collection of questions.
Yeah, unfocused.
Totally unfocused. You end up with data that's all over the place, maybe irrelevant, impossible to analyze properly. It's like, yeah, try to build something without any plans.
Yeah.
A mess.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
What's another common error?
Just asking way too many questions.
Yeah.
We touched on this with length, but it's a classic mistake. Huge questionnaires just lead to respondent fatigue.
Eyes glaze over.
Exactly. People lose focus, they start rushing,
Yeah.
clicking random answers, or they just give up entirely.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Been there. Definitely been there. What else trips people up?
Using complicated words or vague phrasing again, that links back to clarity. Leads to bad answers. Also, relying only on closed-ended multiple-choice type questions.
So not getting any of that richer why data we talked about.
Right.
Whoa.
You miss out on deeper insights.
Yeah.
And, of course, a huge one is failing to guarantee anonymity. That just kills honesty for sensitive topics.
Those all sound like pretty critical mistakes. Is there one more the article really flags?
Yes, and it's a big one. Not pre-testing the survey.
Ooh, like a trial run.
Exactly. Before you blast it out to everyone, you absolutely need to test it on a small group first. It's how you catch confusing questions, awkward wording, things that just don't work.
Find the bugs before the big launch.
Precisely. It lets you fix unclear bits, ambiguous questions, maybe cut stuff that isn't adding value. You optimize it before it goes wide. It's such a crucial step.
Okay, so let's assume we've navigated these pitfalls. We ran our well-designed, pre-tested survey. We've got results. Now what? How do we turn that data into actual positive change, especially thinking about, say, business growth?
Right, because collecting data is only half the battle, maybe less. This is where surveys really show their power. The article explains how those results can become really strong evidence for making strategic changes. Changes that actually drive growth. By systematically listening through the survey to your customers or employees or whoever, you get these incredibly valuable insights. How are we perceived? What do people actually need? Where can we improve?
So it's like a structured way of listening to your audience.
Exactly. Businesses can spot trends, see shifts in preferences, identify those nagging pain points they might not have even known about.
Okay, like what kind of pain points?
Well, the article gives a great example. Say a bunch of customers complain about a specific product feature in a survey. Okay, boom. The company now knows exactly what to fix in the next update. That leads directly to happier customers, more loyalty.
Makes sense. Fixing problems people tell you they have? What else? How else can this data spur growth?
Well, think about market research surveys. The article mentions how they help spot opportunities in new areas, understand what people are looking for as things change.
So adapting your offerings.
Right. You adjust what you offer to match demand, attract new people, stay competitive. And it's not just external. Employee surveys are huge too.
How do those help growth?
They can uncover roadblocks inside the company, inefficiencies, maybe issues with the work culture. Fixing those internal things leads to a better workplace, sure, but also better productivity, less turnover. That all impacts the bottom line.
Interesting connection.
And finally, think about marketing. Survey data on who your audience is, demographics, preferences, lets companies tailor their message, make it more targeted, more effective, speak directly to the right people.
So it's really not just about numbers on a page. It's about using those insights to understand your world better, make smarter moves, and actually grow.
That's the core idea. A really well-done survey isn't just data collection. It's a tool, a powerful tool for gaining insights that can genuinely move the needle. Following these principles transforms surveys from, a chore into a catalyst for real understanding and progress.
Okay, fantastic. Let's quickly recap then. To make surveys work, we need crystal clear objectives right from the start. We need to respect people's time, keep things focused, probably aiming for under 5 minutes if possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Use open-ended questions, but strategically to get those deeper why answers. absolutely guarantee anonymity for honest feedback. Keep the language simple, direct, easy for anyone to understand.
Crucial.
Avoid those common mistakes like vague goals, marathon surveys, jargon, only using multiple choice, and especially skipping the pretest.
Don't skip the pretest.
And finally, remember that the goal isn't just data, it's turning that data into action, using it to understand customers, fix problems, improve internally, and ultimately drive growth.
You've nailed it. And for you, listening, remember, applying these ideas isn't just about getting more answers. It's about getting better answers, more valuable ones.
Working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Saving you time, giving you real insights, and leading to, well, just better decisions, whatever it is you're trying to figure out.
So, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As you think about how you gather information, what's one assumption you might have held about surveys that maybe this deep dive has made you rethink?
Good question.
And maybe how could adding just one really good open-ended question to whatever you do next unlock perspectives you hadn't even considered before? Something to chew on.
Definitely food for thought. It's about shifting that approach, isn't it? Unlocking a
Oh,
deeper level of understanding.